Welcome back to Harvard. The one big lesson in the Republicans, the one they took away from the 2012 spanking, was that it's time to broaden its base, you'd think. But if they want to appeal to more people, then why would the Conservative Political Action Conference, Cpac, not invite New Jersey Governor Christie to speak at their annual meeting coming up? Governor Christie may be one of the few Republicans who can actually nab votes from Democrats and independents. Just look at his approval rating up in Jersey, 74% in the Cpac, and that's in a blue state, a Democrat state that hasn't gone Republican in a presidential year since 1988. Well, the head of American Conservative Union, Al Cardenas, defended Cpac's decision to snub Christie, saying, quote, now try to follow this. Governor Christie was invited to Cpac last year because he did a great job in NJ. Well, this past year, he strongly advocated for the passage of a $60-plus billion pork barrel bill, and he signed up with the federal government to expand Medicaid at a time when his state can ill afford it. So he was not invited back to speak. Well, Christie responded to the non-invitation in typical Christie fashion. Here he is.
I didn't know that I hadn't been invited to Cpac until like 2 days ago when I saw it in the news. So, yeah, apparently I haven't been invited. Listen, I wish them all the best. They're going to have their conference. They're going to have a bunch of people speaking there. They don't want to invite me. That's their call. It's their organization. It's their business. And they get to decide who they want to have come and not come. It's not like I'm lacking for invitations to speak, both here and around the country. It's not like I have a whole lot of openings in my schedule. I can't sweat the small stuff. I got a state to rebuild.
Well, I can't sweat the small stuff. I got a state to rebuild. He had that one ready, I think. I don't think he thought of that one on the spur of the moment. Roger Simon is chief political columnist for the great Politico, and Michelle Goldberg's a contributor for the Daily Beast. You know, I have to say, Michelle, you're up in New York right now. Where are you right now?
I'm in New York.
Okay, so in that whole metropolitan area, as I've been able to figure, just like when the days when Ed Koch was extremely popular, you sort of share the media market. Mm-hmm. It's the biggest media market in the country. 11% of the people watching now are in New York, basically. He's big. He's big in Connecticut. He's big in Jersey. I assume he's huge in Pennsylvania. They're all in those media markets up there. They like the style of the guy. Why would you say we don't want your kind, which is really what they're saying, at our convention? Why is Cpac doing this?
Because he deviated from Republican orthodoxy. I mean, what's funny is that it was just last year, you'll remember, when Republicans, including very conservative Republicans, were basically begging Christie to save them from the moderate squish Mitt Romney. Now Romney's speaking at Cpac, Christie's not invited, and it's because you said before that Republicans agree that they need to expand their tent. I'm not sure that all conservatives do agree with that. I think that there's a lot of conservatives who take the lesson from this election that they take from every lost election, which is that their candidate lost because he wasn't conservative enough. And so rather than expand the tent, they're kind of getting even more ideologically pure. You know, they're also not allowing Go Proud, the conservative gay group, to participate in Cpac.
Yeah, I know that part. Well, let's stick to Christie. Look, here's the I agree with that. That's a weird thing, too. But like, there's no gay conservatives. Well, let's go with this thing. Pork barrel spending. In other words, not only are they adding insult to injury here, they're saying we're not going to invite Christie. Oh, by the way, helping save New Jersey and at places like Staten Island, places like that in New York and the Rockaways and Breezy Point, saving them is pork barrel.
It's ridiculous.
Why does he talk like this, Cardenas?
It's ridiculous on two levels. First of all, accusing a governor of liking pork barrel is like accusing a ballerina of.
Well, how about emergency relief?
You know, well, I mean, getting pork is what politicians do. Yeah. Secondly, Christie wanted relief.
Was that a shot at the fact he's a big guy? Pork barrel. Was that a little shot at him there? Well, I wonder.
He wanted relief for people devastated by a hurricane. We gave relief to people on the Gulf Coast and in New Orleans devastated by.
We give relief to Bali.
Yeah, so why not people in New Jersey?
I don't know. I think pork barrel is a big statement. Let's take a look at the polling on this guy, Michelle. And I think most politicians today are lucky, and the president's doing decently well right now. He's lucky to get a 50 in our numbers this week. I mean, a 50. Just basically half the country likes me. Well, look at this guy. 3/4 of the state in New Jersey, that includes a hell of a lot of deep down regular Democratic voters in a state that has a good chunk of minorities and all the liberal reasons to be big urban liberals. And yet look at the numbers he's polling. He's getting almost every imaginable vote.
Right, and part of the reason he's popular is because he's not the kind of conservative that Cpac embraces. You know, Cpac would never, a candidate who spoke only to Cpac audiences would never be so successful in deep blue New Jersey. You know, because he has a reputation as an independent, because he has a reputation as someone who will put the state's welfare above the kind of conservative orthodoxy. You know, that's why he's beloved right now, but that's also why the party is angry at him.
Let me tell you about my home crowd includes some conservative Catholics, right? You know why they like him? Well, he's pro-life. He shares the values. He's not going to mess around with the Constitution, but he's pro-life. He has the right values by their standards.
Sure.
He's a cultural conservative.
Yeah.
He's a regular family guy, Italian guy, part Irish and all that. He fits that mold of Reagan Democrat, the kind of people that switched to the Republican Party under Ronald Reagan.
But Michelle has put her finger on it. The Republican Party now is suspicious of anybody who's popular with the bulk of Americans.
You're being sarcastic. You don't mean that.
They figure this
You mean they don't like people that win?
Cpac figures this guy's popular, there's got to be something wrong with him.
When did that start, that new dispensation?
Well,
I mean, Reagan was popular.
It started when ideology began driving the party rather than getting somebody elected to office.
Yeah, there must be something. I was going to do the Groucho Marx line, but I can't even fit it in here. As I said, some on the right don't agree with Cpac's decision not to invite Christie to speak. Here's Charles Krauthammer, a pretty conservative guy, on Fox Tuesday.
I think this is a vast overreaction. It's a mistake. He's a leading Republican. He'll obviously presidential timber. He's got the highest popularity of any governor, and he's in a blue state. Look, I wasn't very happy with what he did at Sandy. I thought he deserved 3 months in quarantine. The 3 months is up, and I let him out. I have him at Cpac. We should have a wide tent.
Good old Charles. I thought there he's going to be kind for a second, but he went back to type. He said, yeah, after you've put him in the stocks for 3 months and whipped him a few times, then you can let him show up at your little meeting over at Harbor Place. What do you think of that? Your last thought here from Michelle. Isn't that amazing, the way Charles gives his nice kisses?
Yeah, that's about as kind of as nice as they're going to get. What I think is that the Republican Party is still kind of in the process of imploding. And the problem isn't so much that he's not invited to Cpac, it's that there's no counterweight to Cpac. There's no Republican equivalent of the Democratic Leadership Committee, no kind of Republican engine of reformation.
Yeah, and by the way, I'll leave one thought. As a TV guy now, that picture of them working together on the shores of Jersey was the one happy note that the American public got to see in this whole election. The one time they were proud to be Americans, they said this is what it should look like. They're not the best friends on the planet, but they work together.
And you know who wins presidential elections? The most likable candidates. Christie is a likable guy.
My God, I love it when we have Oaken's razor right here with our hands. Michelle Goldberg and Roger Simon, thank you both.